but you've seen them losing poorly to West Indies in this World Cup and then beating England. How do you rate Pakistan as an opponent in the context of the World Cup? And my other question is, two of the games have already been washed out in this tournament. Might fall to the weather. Tomorrow is not looking good either. So what sort of role do you think the weather can play in the outcome of the last four teams?
Yeah, I think Pakistan are obviously a very dangerous side that we've seen consistently throughout, especially ICC tournaments, that they win a lot of games and they get themselves into a position to win the tournament, and they had a great Champions Trophy. So regardless of what kind of form Pakistan go in with, they're always incredibly dangerous. They've got some world-class players. Obviously Baba's in great touch, batting at number 3 and holding their batting together. But also they've got some world-class bowlers. Amir coming back, and he looks to be back to his best. He's swinging the ball again. Wahab's been fast and aggressive. Shadab's a great bowler. Hassan had a great Champions Trophy as well. So I think when you look down their side, there's no player that you can disregard. They've got a lot of experience in their side. They've got a lot of match winners. So every time you come up against Pakistan, you have to play your best to beat them. And on the weather, I think it might play a huge part actually in the next few days. I think next week it starts to fine up and looks good across the country for the remainder of the tournament. But it's important that you get early wins on the board, because if they do play a part, you don't want to be on the wrong end of a couple of washouts that might leave you just outside that top 4.
Thanks. Vinci, can you do anything tactically to prepare for a game that might not go the full distance? Like, there's a very big chance tomorrow if you get on, it could be a 20-over game, a 25-over game, if that. Yeah, you've just got to make sure that you're as well prepared as you can be. You never bank on rain or anything like that. You always prepare for the full 50 overs, and then you work on the spot. Your team might change if it's a really delayed start or something like that. So everyone just has to be prepared to shuffle their roles around and be really adaptable. And that's one thing we've been really clear with the players, that we want everyone to be adaptable and be ready to go at any situation. If you change the batting order, everyone will be called upon to bowl. So you always prepare as well as you can for the full 50, and if it changes, it's just a daily thing. Speaking of a team, I'm assuming you haven't got one ready for tomorrow at the moment? Haven't got one yet for you.
Aaron, we've seen David Warner has scored 2 of his lowest 50s, ODI 50s of his career in this tournament. Is he sort of still finding his feet, or is it a team plan for him to, set a stall and play out the whole innings?
No, that's not a team plan. I think that the last couple of games, the last game in particular, India bowled really well to him at the start, and he hit the field a lot, which as an opening batter, as a top order player, when the field's in, you do generally face a high percentage of dot balls, and I suppose when the field went out, he still hit them fielders, which didn't give his innings a huge amount of flow, which I know that he was disappointed about. But at the same time, there's every evidence suggests that he'll be back to his dangerous best. And when you give good players an opportunity, and it might be just a little mindset change with Davey. I'm not sure. I haven't spoken to him a huge amount about his batting. I know he's been working a bit with JL and with Punter to just make sure he's in the right mind frame, but he's playing nicely. I think at the first game against Afghanistan, they bowled well to him as well, and he just couldn't get away. And remember, he was out of the game for 14 months, an international level, and regardless of how good a player you are, it's just going to take a little bit of time, especially as an opening batter, to find your feet, find the pace of the game again.
Yeah, he looked completely different in the T20s in IPL. Is it not? Is it that different to coming in and playing ODI cricket? Which is
it's slightly different, obviously, and totally different wickets. You have to remember that Indian wickets are quite low and quite skiddy with the new ball, which allowed him to use his hands and stand really still and hit the gaps. Whereas there's been just enough in these wickets first up that it doesn't allow you to walk out and hit through the line and blast attacks all over. And you're talking about world class opposition here. You're not playing a club team where you can find one target and target them really hard. Each team's super strong, so at times it's about taking a calculated risk to get your innings and get your momentum in your game. So he's still batting beautifully at the moment. He just hasn't got off to that flyer that we're used to.
just with the wickets, they've been different at the start of this tournament. I mean, from what you were playing on in ODI cricket before.
Yeah, coming from the subcontinent, obviously it was. It's very, very different. I think there's just been enough rain around and enough to for the wickets to have a little bit in them. And there's a couple of times we've used a used wicket, which we probably didn't take too much of an account for in the planning. The last game and the one at Trent Bridge were both used wickets. So this one's a fresh one. I'm not sure what it's going to play like, but yeah, there's been enough there for the bowlers if you bowl well with a new ball, but there's also been some good tracks around as well.
Aaron, average over 100 from
Dan,
the
just wait.
Sorry.
Just keep it to one question, please, guys. There's a number of people around the room who want to ask a question. So.
You average over 100 against Pakistan in the recent series, 4 scores of over 50. Completely different environment, I know, but what can you take from that into tomorrow?
Oh, a huge amount of confidence. I think I felt the way that I played in that series against Pakistan was really pleasing, especially in a couple of big run chases, 280 plus at Sharjah, to be able to bat really deep, especially in that second game and get a not out to get us over the line was something that I was happy with myself about, because it's an area that I hadn't really done in the past. I'd always, if I'd got 100, I'd got out not long after, especially in a run chase. So it's going to be a totally different attack. I'm also well aware of that. There was Amir for the first game. He didn't play the other 4. There was no Shadab, no Hassan Ali, no Wahab. So it's a totally different attack, but it still gives you a lot of confidence going into a game.
Finchy, you mentioned about the weather potentially playing an impact on selection. In terms of Adam Zampa and a leg spinner, like it can be hard to play a leg spinner when it's wet. Would he kind of be the one who might be able to make it way?
Yeah, we're just not sure at the moment. Marcus Stoinis has got a bit of a side strain, so he won't be available especially for tomorrow. So we're going to have to juggle around, especially that all-rounder spot. So we've got Mitch Marsh flying over just as a bit of a precaution. He was meant to fly over with the Australia A side on Friday, so he's just coming a couple of days early, just as a bit of a precaution if Stoin doesn't recover quick enough or doesn't respond to treatment well enough over the next few days. So that's also something we've got to juggle. We've got to find a few more overs now. Whether we play the extra batter or the extra bowler, we'll wait and see, and especially tomorrow with the conditions.
Aaron, what have you made of the effectiveness of the bails being used in this tournament? We've seen the ball now hit the stumps 5 times and the bails not dislodge. Do you think the tournament has a problem?
Oh, I think it's a tough one to say, because they're never going to change the stumps mid-tournament either anyway. So I think it just comes down to a bit of pot luck at times with if you're on the receiving end or the good end of it. So we were obviously on the right end of it last game with one that Davey rolled back onto the stumps early on. But the fact that it's happening more and more, I don't know how much heavier the bails are or if anything can be done about it. That's just one of those things.
Sam?
Aaron, can you just clarify with Marcus Stoinis, when did he suffer that injury and how many games do you expect him to miss?
Not exactly sure on how many games he'll miss. That's why Mitch is flying over. It's still being assessed, and over the next couple of days we'll have a clearer picture on what that looks like. And also, I think it was about his 5th or 6th over the other day. So it was towards the back end of his second spell, and he come back and bowled 2 overs at the death. But he was in some discomfort, and it wasn't ideal, but he still managed to bowl a couple of overs. And speaking to guys who have done a side before, they say you can generally get through a game towards the end, but it's tough to get going again after you've cooled down.
If no one else has a question. Yeah.
Just in terms of the structure of the side, obviously he's an all-rounder, there's no like-for-like replacement. How does that affect the structure of your team?
Yeah, like I said before, it's just about trying to weigh up whether we go with the extra batter in Sean Marsh tomorrow, or we go with an extra bowler and play Alex Carey at 6. It's just one of those things we're going to have to weigh up and have a look and have a think about it this afternoon and come up with what looks like the best 11 to beat Pakistan.
Finchy, just on a completely different note, it's been a long time since Australia's played in Pakistan, and we've seen a couple of teams start going back there recently. I know it's far above your pay grade to say whether that will happen for Australia, but How important is it for world cricket, do you think, that we do see teams start going back to Pakistan and for the sport in that country?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and the fans that travel, that support Pakistan are so passionate. We see when the Pakistan Super League was played there, the fans are selling out grounds in minutes. And from all reports, the guys who played there said it was an amazing time to play cricket in Pakistan, just for them to have cricket back in their home country where there's so much love and passion for the game is incredible. So, like you said, it's well above my decision making whether to decide whether teams should go back and whether it's safe enough. So I'm sure that all countries and the ICC and everyone involved is doing their due diligence in making sure that security and everything is looked at to make sure that when cricket is ready to go back to Pakistan, and I'd love to play there, no doubt. It's such a wonderful country to. You hear of stories of guys who played there in the past that said how amazing it is to play there, and similarly to India with the passion of their fans and the crowds. It's when it's ready, it'll happen, and that's going to come down to individual boards and the ICC and all the right people making the decisions.
Last question.
Aaron, how have you reflected on the actions and the comments of Virat Kohli the other day about Steve Smith? Has it been something you've spoken about? And what kind of reception do you think Steve may get tomorrow?
When Virat was batting, yeah, it was all class, wasn't it? He does a lot of great things for the game, Virat, and obviously Steve and Dave have been copping their fair share from the crowd. So it was great to see such an influential player standing up for what he believes is right, and it was great to see. It was a nice touch. Regardless of whether they get booed or cheered, it doesn't faze them too much. I know talking to them, it's a part of the game, unfortunately, that it's going to keep coming up. So sometimes it's best to just not poke the bear, but we know it's going to happen.
Right.
Cheers, guys. Have a good day.